In the springtime, we start pulling out some of our house plants. As we're doing a spring cleaning of our house, often we're ready to kind of push them out onto the patios to give ourselves a little more space in our own home. And you might have many different types of house plants, but I wanted to talk to you about how to kind of rejuvenate them, because I know after a long winter, sometimes they don't have the optimal conditions, and so they can get a little ragged. And so often, houseplants don't need a lot of care, and so they can go years without really much maintenance, and after years without maintenance, again, they'll start to look ragged. So we have one that has seen better days right here. This is called Sansevieria or snake plant, and you can see it's a good clump of snake plant here, but it's got some dead leaves in here, some sunburned leaves, some bruised leaves and things like that. So we're just going to give it a clean up. We're going to start first actually by taking it out of its pot, because the plant is so far down in there I can't really cut those leaves out. So I'm going to tip this over on its side. You just kind of want to press on the root ball a little bit and then gently tug on it to pull it out. Now, this particular type of house plant, Sansevieria, it actually likes to be root bound, and so it's one that you can definitely just plant it and forget about it for a while. Some house plants don't like to be as root bound as what this one does. You can see it's still healthy though. It's got plenty of new growth coming on. It's got some good roots in there. It just needs a little bit more love. Now I have to say, if you say you just have a black thumb and you cannot grow a plant at all, try this one, because this one can grow in very dark areas in your house almost. I wouldn't say dark, don't put it in a closet, but it doesn't need a lot of sun. And in fact, some plants can actually get sunburnt, and this is one of them. So if you were to bring this out from a shady location and put it out into bright sun, you're going to see where that sun actually damages those plant cells and causes some more severe damage to them, which means less of that plant is actually going to be photosynthesizing. Now what we're going to do on this one is just start by removing some of this dead stuff that you can see on here. We just want to clean it up. And even some of these that are, you can see it's got some bruising and some damage all through it. We're going to go ahead and even trim some of those leaves back just to really give this a nice cleanup. The first thing that we're going to look at is take out anything that's completely dead all the way through. So you can see some of this is dead, and we're just going to take it all the way back to the main shoot. Some of the other ones, such as this leaf, you can see that the majority of the leaf has been compromised. The tip is damaged, the midrib here is damaged on it, even the margins are damaged, and as you go down you can see at the base of it that the leaf has been broken down here. So there's really no more life in this plant at this point, or this particular leaf at this point. So as I mentioned, Sansevieria really does like to be root bound, so I'm not necessarily going to increase the pot size on this particular plant. I'm basically planting it back in a new pot. It just needed more potting soil and some more fertilizer, because you can see there's hardly anything but roots here at this point. You could divide this if you wanted to. I'm not going to at this point because I still want a nice sized pot. But you can see easily you could take a knife or a saw of some sort, and like an ornamental grass, just divide it, and you would have another plant right here next to it that you could take and separate. At this point, because it was so low in that pot, I've already filled up my container here, my new container, with some more potting soil. Before I put it in there just yet, I'm going to mix in some Osmocote that I have here. Osmocote, or some other slow release fertilizer, is a nice addition to houseplants, and we're just going to work that into the potting soil so that it's accessible to that plant as it continues to grow. So we've got our fertilizer in there, so now we'll just add our plant on top of that and put some more soil around it. So you can see we took a fair amount of damaged or dead tissue off of this plant already. And yes, there is still a little bit on our main plant, but at this point we don't want to remove too much. Again, there's always that rule of 1/3 when you're talking about pruning plants. And so we've got this planted up. We've top dressed it again with a little more of that slow release fertilizer. And this is ready to either be placed in a shady patio or to go back into your home. Now, spring is always the best time to do this because the plant is going to go into its growing cycle, and so it's going to really take up that fertilizer and continue to flourish and find its new home and adjust to that. So this spring, take time to repot those houseplants that have been neglected for a little while. And for more information, check out this fact sheet.
Hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.